So, what is the role of the attorney for children? This is a question I get asked all the time. Well, the most basic requirement of an attorney for children, and again, some of the audience may know, I spent many years representing children in family court and in divorce matters. But the main and central role of the attorney for the children is to zealously advocate on behalf of their child client. So what does that mean? They now, as attorney for children, are duty bound to represent what the child says they want to see happen in the case. The only exception to that is if the child is suggesting they want to do something that would place them at imminent risk of harm, or if the attorney for the children feels as if they cannot, knowing and voluntarily, with considered judgment, represent what their position is in the case. So bear in mind, though, attorneys for children have the same obligations to their child client as any other attorney has to their adult client. They need to explain to them what the options are in the case, what the implications of any decision they may make would be. And certainly, as any other attorney has requirements to zealously represent their client, they file motions, they prepare pleadings, they file court documents, they prepare their case for trial, talk to witnesses. So as you're doing all of those things, I mean, the only way you can effectively represent a child client in these cases, not only according to our ethical standards, but even just based on my many years' experience representing child clients, you need to understand and know every aspect of the case. So how do you do that? Well, you need to gather information from your client, and you need to meet with your client, talk with your client. That's the first and most basic things. And you need to do that on a regular basis. It can't be once every 6 months or once every year or whenever you feel like it. Also, you need to gather information about the case from other parties. So again, you might be talking to witnesses, you might be talking to school personnel, you might be gathering documents or information from mom or from dad. And in fact, I think you're required to do all of those things. The problem comes in when you have attorneys handling these type cases who don't really follow their ethical obligations. They don't live up to those standards. And what's the punishment? What's the what happens if they don't do that? Well, again, I've never really seen much happen in that regard. But we have had a lot of cases where we feel like the attorney for the children, and this is a huge complaint we get all the time, is not doing their job. They're not doing the things they're supposed to do. So, perfect example, and we get these cases all the time. If the attorney for the children is not representing what you believe your child or children, wants to see happen in the case, that's their duty-bound obligation, what do you do? Well, in navigating through these cases, one of your options is to make a request that your children speak directly to the person making the decision in the case. Speak directly to the judge. And you can also, in these type cases, have your lawyer, if they're savvy enough, to draft proposed questions for that interview. These things can happen. If you handle these cases at a high level on every day, you understand that these are some of your options, or one of your options at least. But again, there really isn't, from my experience, really close supervision as to whether or not these attorneys for children are living up to their ethical standards.